Autism isn't really like a cause-based diagnosis. It's more of like a descriptive diagnosis. And the way I explain this would be like, if you were to go to the doctor and be like, my arm is swelling and it hurts really bad, and they were to take some imaging and take a look at it and be like, oh, you have a fractured arm. That would be a cause-based diagnosis because they're actually looking at the thing that's causing the symptoms and they know why it's happening, and then they would follow up with the correct procedure to correct the broken arm. With autism, it's more of a descriptive diagnosis where the doctor is actually taking a look at you and then describing what they see in your patterns and behaviors and then giving you a diagnosis based on that. So let's say you went to like a psychiatrist and you went through some screening and they're like, do you have trouble with eye contact? Are you having trouble in social, interactions? Do you have hypersensitivities? They would check through a lot of things, and if you fall into enough of the criteria on the DSM-5, they would then diagnose you as having autism spectrum disorder. What's interesting about that, though, is that doesn't tell you why you have autism spectrum disorder, just simply that your behaviors and needs align with that disorder. So what that leaves us with is the fact that autism spectrum disorder is very multifactorial. It could be caused by a myriad of different things. It could be caused by genetic predisposition. Maybe you're in a family that has had a long history of neurodivergencies and you just happen to be the one that combined just right that you end up with the symptoms that look like autism spectrum disorder. You might be someone like me that was born severely preterm and had some kind of brain structure damage that led to those same exact symptoms, but a different cause. And I could potentially get a cause-based diagnosis sometime in my life. Like, if I went to a neurologist and had them actually do brain scans, they might find, say for example, some brain structure abnormalities that lead to a diagnosis that explains why I have autistic tendencies. But even if I got that diagnosis, let's say it's something like encephalopathy of prematurity causing white matter structural abnormalities that led to ASD, that would inform future clinicians that we know why my brain is kind of weird, but it wouldn't tell you why you have autism because you might have a completely different reason for it. And because autism is so multifactorial, from things like environment to birth issues like mine, or even just genetic predisposition, a single correlation of, say for example, taking acetaminophen is not going to explain why people have autism. Another side note is that autism has been around long before acetaminophen did. So, yeah.